off taking the palette The Naked Truth by Wet n Wild, and I'm actually just going to start off by using a brownish shade. And I'm actually swatching these for you, and they're super buttery and smooth, and they're actually really pigmented, which I didn't expect from a Wet n Wild palette, so I was just showing you the swatches. But for my first shade, I'm going to use a transition shade, and I'm just going to use a face powder that I have because the palette doesn't really have a transition shade. So I'm just going to use this CoverGirl powder as a transition shade, like I said, and just buff that in. It's a transition shade, so putting it all over your lid and in your crease is perfectly fine, as we're going to be doing a cut crease later, or attempt a cut crease. So now I'm going to be taking that dark brown shade, and I'm going to be using like a pencil brush. It has a very pointed end, and I'm using that to kind of draw where I want my crease to be kind of cut, and also so I can guide myself as to where to go. And it looks super messy right now, and honestly that's how cut creases start. And I'm not very good at cut creases, like I'm just learning and practicing, so that is why I take my time in this video. And as you can see, I'm doing all different types of techniques. And then I'm just going to take a fluffy brush to blend that out, because of course you don't want any harsh lines. And that was just a guidance line for me, so I'm just going to take that out and blend it. So now after that's done, I'm going to work on cutting my crease, and I'm just figuring out how I'm going to cut my crease. So I'm using like a smudger brush from Wet n Wild because it's super flat and it's smaller, so I figured that that would be a little bit easier for me to work with. I've tried all different types of brushes to cut my crease with, and even though, as you can see, I was really struggling to cut my crease, I ended up really liking using the brush because it was so small and it was easier for me to cut my crease with. And then I'm just using my Tarte Tape Shape Concealer to cut my crease. So then to set my concealer, I'm just going to take the lightest shade in the palette. And it wasn't exactly supposed to be for your lid, but that's just what I'm using to set my concealer because it goes best with the darker brown eyeshadow. So I already put on my lashes and did my eyeliner just to save some time, so I'm just going to be prepping my face for the foundation, and I picked up the Wet n Wild face primer, and it's a white lotiony creamy consistency, which I was kind of skeptical about because I don't really like primers that are that consistency. I really like silicone primers because I feel like they smooth out the face better and make my skin just feel and look a lot better as far as makeup application. So now I'm taking the Wet n Wild Photo Focus foundation in Caramel, and I'm going to apply that. It has a weird little applicator, it's like a spatula, but it worked just fine. And I was really skeptical about the color of the foundation. The lighting is a bit off, so it kind of looks funny, but it actually does match me in person, so I did a good job, I guess, picking out the color online. It was a struggle. So I'm just applying it. Like I said, I did a light coat, I guess, first, and I only dipped in there once, like just pulling it out, and I just used that. And then I'm just taking the flat top Wet n Wild brush and just blending out the foundation. And as you can see, like, it blended out really quickly and really nicely, so I ended up really liking this foundation because of that. And it also has a really nice coverage. It kind of reminds me of the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte Foundation because of how full coverage it is. It's not exactly full coverage on the first layer of foundation that you apply to your face, but you can definitely build it up without it looking cakey, which you will see in the next clip of me kind of show you guys what it looks like with a second layer. Okay, so I ended up zooming you guys in so you could really see how this applies to the skin. So I'm adding just the amount that I did the first time. I didn't dip back in there more than once. I just took it out and applied 3 strokes to each side of my face again. And as you can see, when I'm applying it, it doesn't look cakey at all. It looks perfectly fine. I can still see some of like the little spots that I have, but it gives a really nice natural finish, and it's not like super full coverage, but it's still a very nice coverage foundation for a natural look. So now I'm just going to take the Wet n Wild concealer, and I believe that this is in medium, and I'm just going to apply it how I would regularly apply my concealer. And I'm actually not going to set with regular translucent setting powder today because I really wanted to focus on using Wet n Wild products. So in the next clip, you're going to see me using the Mega Pro Contouring Palette, and I'm just going to use the yellow shade to set underneath. And when I was setting underneath, I really realized how powdery the banana yellow shade was, and I didn't really like that. It set pretty well as I went on during the day. I didn't really notice any creasing in my concealer, but I really wasn't too sure about the formula. So next I'm just going to use the contouring shade in the palette, and I think I did get the darkest shade in this palette. It comes in like 4 different shades, 3 or 4, and I did get the darkest one, I believe. But I was super shocked at how pigmented this was, and it kind of reminded me of the NYX bronzer, so I really liked it. And I'm just using one of my favorite brushes to bronze up and contour my face. So then I'm just going to take a smudger brush from Wet n Wild, and I'm going to actually use that dark brown color on my lower lash line, blend it out, and then apply my mascara, and then that'll be it for the eyes. And then I'm going to quickly finish my face afterwards, and then that'll be the whole entire look. Just kidding, I lied. I'm just putting on some of the lip gloss from Wet n Wild, and I didn't really like this too much because I had to dip in there a lot just to get that glossy, sheeny look. So I wasn't really a fan of it. Pretty color, but really wasn't a fan of the formula. So this was the final look. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on my notification bell if